Look, each and every Wednesday, around about this time, we catch up with our exercise physiologist who is here right now, Mark Goswell. Mark, thank you for coming in today.
And thank you for having me again today.
You're actually, in this hour, you are the third Mark to be on air.
It's a really cool name. It's popular. It's all the great people that call Mark.
Yeah,
and you've just threw me under that, and I'll run with it.
All the cool people.
All the cool kids.
Today, though, something that most of us aren't doing enough of is recognising the importance of being able to stand on one leg. Now, you're not necessarily talking to this as the party trick.
No, not the party trick, and not trying to be there like a stork, but the very simple functional aspect of that very simple task of being able to stand on one leg and balance, which a lot of people take for granted.
As always with a lot of the chats we have with you, we need to recognise that a lot of these things we actually do in our everyday life all of the time. And in terms of standing on one leg, you use the example of walking.
Yeah, and because obviously we get a lot of people coming into the studio with back, knees, hips, balance issues, all walks of life. And when I actually sort of break it down to them and go, cool, just stand on one leg for me, it's part of our assessment strategy. It tells us a lot about people's movements. I did it on you in the break, and we sort of discussed some aspects that you're lacking. But when people actually stand on their leg and they can't do that, and they're just like, oh, it's cool. And I go, cool, what do you do when you walk? And they look at me with a blank face, and it's like every time you take a step, you are literally balancing on one leg at some stage. Now, people that, in their 70s, 80s, who start to alter their gait or their walking pattern, and they start to shuffle or they take, a lot more smaller steps, it's not because of strength. It's basically because they literally don't have the capacity to balance on one leg. So what they do is they shorten their steps, shorten their gait to minimise the amount of contact that they have, in one leg stance.
All right, and these are things that you do subconsciously in a way without even knowing. It just happens.
Yeah, so you start to modify your behaviour and start to change what you do to compensate for your weaknesses and for your limitations. It's like people that start noticing walking up and down stairs, and they'll invariably start grabbing onto rails or holding onto the wall, and they don't consciously do it. They're sort of subconsciously doing it because they don't have the strength or control. And when you say to people, what do you do when you walk down a set of stairs? It's literally it's a single-legged squat. So if you're going to stand on one leg just randomly and then try to do a squat, most people can't, but they're expected to do that every time they walk down the stairs.
So once the light bulb goes off and people can relax into that moment a little bit, how do you flip that around and actually get people to start to reverse the process that again is just subconsciously crept in over time?
Yeah, and it's so simple to do from our perspective in terms of being able to prescribe the right amount of exercise and get the right muscles activated. It's a little bit more complex than doing it on the radio, but it's about, we've spoken about it so many times over the years about training the entire system. So we've got to train the muscles in the bottom, so the glutes. We've got to get the adductors, which are the muscles on the inside of the leg, but also up around the obliques, so into our abdominal area, because all of that sort of aids in stability, which is what helps control our movement and control our position in space.
Funny, isn't it, that quite often the symptom, the thing that you notice, is not necessarily the genesis of the problem. It's something that's happening somewhere else. You need to fix that.
Oh, 100%. And usually what it does, this all sort of originates from either a trip, a fall, a twist, tweaking your knee or just hurting the knee a little bit, which then creates behaviour modifications, which then creates these weaknesses. And over time, as these weaknesses develop more and more, our function becomes less and less. And then people just accept it and then modify their behaviours, and away they go, and they come and see an exercise physiologist because they're struggling.
All right, a couple of things to think about there from our exercise physiologist, Mark Goswell. And a reminder, if you have an issue you'd like him to cover, whether it's a bit of exercise, part of the body, balance maybe, you can shoot him an email for the next couple of weeks at askmark@2NURFM.com.